This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 10th of June 2019, and I am 2J.
I am Tuam.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Daily Nation, shame, revenge law to kill SRC. The Standard, RUTO, I am the boss when UHURU is away. The Standard, DCI probe, civil servants lose a life insurance cover. And today we have a new guest headline from Business Daily, the Chinese in Gikomba.
Yes.
All right.
Let's start with
The Daily Nation?
the Daily Nation.
Yes.
Shame.
Revenge law to kill SRC.
What do they expect?
Who? Parliament or SRC?
SRC. If it's Parliament's role to or mandate to make law, definitely they will revenge.
Yeah,
They will
that's
come
very
for
true.
you if
They'll
you
come
try and
for you.
limit us.
You go for them, they come for you.
Did you hear what they said?
What?
They want to reduce the SRC from being a commission that sits permanently to
Yes.
being a semi-permanent commission. They want to reduce the amount of money they're able to get a sitting allowance such
Yes.
that annually
Yes.
an SRC commissioner will take home 200,000
bob.
shillings
Annually.
Yes.
Annually.
That is 16,700 bob a
A
month.
month.
So
Shots
what
fired.
is the point of sitting in that
Yeah.
commission?
I'm wondering, did they maybe go far so that their request would then come in? They go a bit extreme so that they ask for something. Maybe there's something else that they want.
I don't think so, because bear in mind that this commission was indeed a part-time commission and that they made it a full-time commission. I don't know.
Yeah.
I say
I say we toss the
we
headline.
toss it, but
Yeah.
first we ask ourselves 3 questions. We have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions.
Yes.
Is this headline topical or is it speculative?
Yeah.
Is it repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy?
I think we are clearly not married to this headline. Let's
Yeah.
not waste any more time.
Yeah.
DCI probe, civil servants lose life insurance cover, the Standard.
You know what I said?
Yes.
Until DCI produces people in court with tangible evidence, I will stop
Commenting.
listening and commenting
Yeah.
on investigations by them.
No, it's very true. I feel like at this point, the DCI is assuming that there is some bad intention
Yeah.
with everything.
Yes.
Instead of, innocent until proven guilty,
Yes.
it's guilty until,
Yes.
Found innocent.
or guilty until I take you to court and find that I don't have enough evidence to actually convict you.
Absolutely.
So,
I say it's speculative, and in fact, from now on, I agree with both of you. Until otherwise, we will label all DCI EACC
Yeah.
headlines
Speculation.
speculative.
This is just drama.
Toss it.
Yeah.
RUTO, I am the boss when UHURU is away. I feel like it's a statement of fact. Didn't we all know that?
yeah, I think we did know that.
My
Yeah.
question is, who is his audience?
That is a good question, though,
It
because if I'm saying it's like you're the wife in a home and you come and you say,
Yeah.
when your father is not here, I am the one who
in
says
charge.
everything. Your children look at you like, but
but
did
of course.
we know that? I don't know. Are you trying to tell that to our father, perhaps?
I suspect the person
That RUTO is speaking
DP
to.
is referring to is Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah. The thing is, based on the fact that this is a statement of fact, we know that.
Yes.
I think that it's a bad headline. I think it's a bit too obvious. It's clickbaity.
Yeah.
Then I'd like to do a swap. You see, today we introduced the Business Daily as our guest headline, and I think that they have a good headline.
Oh, yes.
The Chinese are in Gikomba. They have 2 provocative pictures of Chinese men sitting with bales of clothing
Yeah.
in our market.
Yes.
I say that this
Yeah.
is a good contender for a winning headline.
It is, because it has not been the norm. And I have 2 things to say, almost opposite to each other. First thing, it is wrong having the Chinese on the other end of China clearing our goods, and then they come here and sell the same goods, right?
Okay.
In a place where we've been selling.
Yes.
But then again, trade worldwide, globally, is very dynamic, all right? We should have known this is coming. There are Chinese in Gikomba, but there have also been Indians there for a long time.
Yes.
There are Muzungus everywhere in Upper Hill and Westlands doing things Africans have been doing.
Oh, this is why you're saying your points are opposite to each other.
Absolutely.
So what is the main
All right?
point?
The main
Yes.
point is this. We should have seen this coming from a long time ago.
So what do we want to do? Do we want to become
Yes.
protectionists, which means we kill the entire Gikomba market and grow our own cottage industries, which would stop the Chinese coming
Good
and
idea.
having bills?
Yeah.
Good idea.
Or, but remember, you're also killing the livelihood of traders who've been selling there from 1975. Or, on the other hand, do we come up with policies that protect our local traders from immigrants? Because you can tighten the laws and regulations allowing them to work.
Yes, you
That's
can do
very
that.
true.
You
So
can do
which
that.
of the two do we do?
You can do that.
I say it's a good headline because it what makes us think.
Yes,
Yes.
it lifts
But-
the veil of ignorance.
Yes.
Do we have a solution yet? No.
No.
But
No.
it's good that you put it out there so that we can start thinking.
So
of
we're
one.
tossing the star.
We're tossing the star, making the Daily Nation, the Business Daily,
Yes.
and winning headlines. What do you guys think?
I completely agree. I think the Business Daily is such an underrated paper. It has fantastic articles, and I think more people should be reading to
Yes.
find out what's happening.
Absolutely.
On to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we have a three-part criteria that we use to break down the cartoons for you. We ask ourselves three questions. Is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is the cartoon satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is the cartoon effective or just plain lazy? This looks like Iga.
This is Iga. As much as I like it, it looks like a Standard 7 textbook
Illustration.
All right,
illustration.
let's describe it first.
It's a van, a surveillance van, written Sonko Studio Team. On top of it, are surveillance cameras, a satellite beaming to space, and one thing written here,
24/7.
recording 24/7. And people see it and they literally take off.
Leave
Right?
their phones, their papers, everything.
And the context of this is whenever Sonko is around, you keep quiet.
You don't know what he's recording, what he's going to do with that recording.
Because he's recording you. I mean, it's funny, but then...
And it's a play on what's going on this week.
Yeah.
Sonko,
Yeah.
National Recording Studio Artist, the biggest label ever. I don't know, I guess.
biggest recording
I think
artist.
in its simplicity, it's a good cartoon. It's effective.
It's very good. Very
I
good.
didn't think I would say this, but I think it's effective. And before we toss it, I'd like to put it in the parking bin.
Okay,
Agreed.
sure thing.
All right.
Perhaps what we don't like is how he draws.
Yes,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. Second one, ozone.
Ozone.
I like this, right? Let me
He's
just...
finally taking some of my
Call
constructive
out
criticism.
to 2J.
Yes.
There is nothing
No
describing
writing.
this. There's absolutely
Today
no
he's
writing.
telling me, what do you think this cartoon is about? Figure it out yourself. Which I
You wanna do
appreciate. No, I don't. Let me know.
You sure?
I feel like this is a call out to you. You should respond.
Hey, all right.
We can start. Describe the cartoon.
Let me describe it.
An arm.
An arm, gripping,
Clenched fist.
Crushing.
A man is actually a guy over
Crushing.
here, and crushing. His fist is above the fist that's gripping him, and blood has
It's
come out.
pouring
It's
down.
pouring out. The arm is the military junta of the Sudan,
Sudan.
and I think this is the context of this is the military is crashing down on civilians.
Protesters.
Yeah,
Who
quite
want-
heavily.
Yeah, who want civilian rule? And but
I
then
think it's a very powerful cartoon.
yes, again,
I do.
But then again, let me be a bit insensitive.
Okay.
What did the masses expect? You've been led by a military junta for the last 40 years or so. Of course, they're going to want to keep their power. They're not
Yeah.
just going to give you civilian
However,
power.
what I've gleaned from social media is the contrast. As they were fighting for revolution,
Yeah.
the world was talking about it. They were supporting them.
Yeah.
Now people are being killed
Yes.
unceremoniously,
Yeah.
and the world is quiet. So I think what people want is for
I must note this, however, that I know that the AU has responded and said that they have withdrawn
The
Yes,
membership,
the membership
of
of
Sudan
Sudan.
from the African Union until
They
a
get
civilian
civilian rule.
authority is put in place.
Yeah.
But I have to say this, the
Yeah.
UN
Yeah.
had wanted to pass a similar resolution, but it was stopped
Yes, by the powers.
China and Russia. And
Yes.
I quote Russia by stating that they were against foreign intervention in the Sudan and required that somebody crush the dissidents.
You know, this is so weird because
And I leave it at that.
those are
Just-
vested interests if we've ever heard of it.
just before al-Bashir left power,
Yeah.
you know, the Americans were removing sanctions from the Sudan. It's very weird now that all the powers are sort of
All
converging
right,
in the
final
Sudan.
cartoon.
Hey, wait. Converging in the Sudan.
Ha! Shots fired.
Yeah, go.
There's an attempt on my life, and it's not my life, it's Sonko's life. I do love this cartoon.
This is very, 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 very
Graft
clever.
tropical juice, thuggery cognac, incompetent Napoleon.
And you see how his fingers with all those rings.
A lot of phones on the table and a recording device. And it shows Sonko in all his glitz and glamour.
Yeah, there's an attempt on my life, but the irony is he's the one holding the gun up
to his
head.
own head. I say, okay, I have to toss two other cartoons and real quick.
Yes, I agree.
In quick succession.
But nobody has noticed his crown here has a smiley face.
Yes, because that shows you exactly how much power he has. You do know that on any army or any military hat, what is there is the authority which you carried. So the seal of the government or the authority that you have.
Precisely.
So
he's a smiley face.
I
think what I want to say is honorable mention to Ozone. He's tried the cartoon, but not good enough.
Now you're deciding for the two of us.
I agree with
She's
Tuje.
agreeing with me.
And Iga, you really did a good job.
Good job, but when put up against that,
when
not good
Gado
enough.
does this, and he ends with evidently, this is a winning cartoon.
It is most definitely.
Very good.
What is our final thought? And it's a new week, new thoughts.
New week, new thoughts. And now our final thought. It's inspired by a book entitled Moonwalking with Einstein. All right, by Josh Foer. And my takeaway from this book reminds me of a concept Prof always talks about. It's called neuroplasticity. Yeah. That the brain is always growing.
Or shrinking.
Or shrinking. It is always making movements, right? That 2% of the brain is used by the average person. And a genius, someone with a very high IQ would use about 11%. Yeah. But Josh Foer says that the memory is like a spider web, right? That it catches new information, and that the more it catches, the bigger it grows. And the bigger it grows, the more it catches, right?
I feel like you said the same thing.
What a Monday, right?
I'm telling you.
All right, yes. Moonwalking with Einstein. So the subtitle of the book is The Art and Science of Remembering Everything. Yeah. So Joshua Foer is a journalist. He's a freelance journalist. Yes. And he wrote this book after he stumbled upon the U.S. Memory Championship. Yeah. He just stumbled upon it, and he became so enamored by this entire competition that by 2006, he actually ran in this competition and won. Yeah. He became the U.S. Memory Championship holder or some title like that. Yeah. So in this book, he describes how he witnessed these mental athletes compete in events where they memorize 4,000 numbers, for example, or 27 decks of cards in under an hour. Just incredible things they do with their brains. Right. So the art of memory is credited to the ancient Greek poet Simonides, who was able to perfectly recall the scene in a banquet hall moments before the roof collapsed, simply by reviewing what he saw in his mind's eye. So the roof collapsed and he was able to pinpoint where every single person was sat. So the art of memory is also called the method of Loki. And it assigns distinctive images to anything that one person wants to remember by placing the images in a familiar room or building. When you then recall them, it becomes a matter of traveling through these locations or the memory palace to recall that information that you had left there. So for example, if I want to remember when 2M's birthday is, I will think of something completely outrageous. Like 2M dancing upside down, wearing a dress.
You're describing yourself.
No, she's describing the fact that our memory is not, we're not very good at remembering names
we're not exactly
and numbers, but we're very good at remembering faces. So I'll remember your face, places where you are, and events, what you were doing.
But so not me dancing upside down.
But the idea is that I have to assign something that is so outrageous and crazy because that is what will help me remember. Yeah. So in the book he says, in order to memorize X, 2M's birthday, I need to remember Y. So the Y will be you dancing upside down. Yeah. So in a pink tutu. In a pink tutu. So it takes advantage of the simple fact of human cognition. We naturally remember visual images. Yeah. So rather than just remembering your birthday, I need to have that. Yeah. We might get a Photoshop image so that the audience understands what we're talking about.
About 2M upside down in a pink tutu equals his birthday 2 weeks ago.
Therefore, now everyone is going to remember that, right?
It's funny, you're speaking about you're never there, you are here, I was elsewhere.
Hence, that's why we needed something, a mental marker in which to remember it.
The good things that you're making up in your mind.
No, that's the thing. This is a technique.
Yeah, so the art of memory was refined and codified by Roman scholars, and it grew in the Middle Ages as a way for men of God and politicians and intellectuals to memorize speeches and books and a whole lot of other things. But the participants in the memory championship saw themselves as participants in an amateur research program.
Right.
So they themselves say that the aim is to rescue a long lost tradition of memory training that got lost.
Yeah.
So a trained memory is not just handy, but it's a fundamental part of a worldly mind.
So I have to say this. It's what she's saying about the Romans and pastors having refined the art of memory is very important. And we need to remember that as a whole nation, as a people, the people of earth, humanity, that was how we remembered how to survive.
Yes.
That was how we remembered where to go, what to eat, what was proper, what was right. Even that's how we remembered who became king, who was king before them, and who will be king next. We valued memory. Memory was a collective, was our collectivization of our history.
Yes.
And we didn't have a place in which to put it.
Yeah.
So we started putting it outside of ourselves. You can say the first place we put it was on cave walls. So the first drawings you see was
yes, absolutely.
externalization
Yeah.
of
Yes.
our memory.
Yeah.
But when the printing press was established by Gutenberg,
Yes.
it wiped out this very important thing we call memory, because the people who had the most memory were our most valued members of society.
Yeah.
So in Africa, it was our elders. If you go to your elders and you have your elders who remember the history of your tribe,
And
who
they tell
know
you
where
stories.
you came from,
Yes.
what roots you used, and what was interesting and important about those roots, then they were the most valued people.
Yes.
But once we started externalizing, like taking our memories and putting them outside of ourselves, then we devalued this very important resource.
Exactly. It was considered a form of character building.
Yes.
And it was.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're memorizing the entire Bible, which no one does now. In fact, I don't even think anyone carries their Bible to church. You just have your phone.
Everything's
you have
on your phone.
everything.
Yeah.
So this externalization.
Yeah.
And I think
devalued
another
it.
important thing about it is that only through memorizing could ideas be truly incorporated into one's psyche and be fully absorbed. So that's why he talks about in the book, when you just read something, you're not really understanding what happens. But when you put it into your memory, it becomes a concept that you fully internalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you want to tell us something about, you see, the value of memories.
Yeah. So,
The next greatest terror attack.
I wanted to ask you,
Yes.
because we are using more than ever phones and everything, right? Our birthdays on our phones, our
For
maps,
mobile
numbers, Google, everything, anything that we want to know about, and we're always like this on our phone.
Yes.
Now, I have a hypothesis,
Okay, go with it.
and I borrowed it from someone. I think the biggest terror attack will not be on human beings, right? It will be on gadgets that we use.
Yeah.
Now, one of those countries, I'll not name which one, what if it just decides to shoot a satellite up there that has Google or has maps or has everything? You wipe out all information on our gadgets and devices, and we have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You're basically in a hole. What will happen?
And I think that's a very interesting question, if I could pose it in a different way.
Yes.
So if our memory has been transferred to books and gadgets,
Yes.
what's left in our heads?
I'd say
So we've
nothing.
become over-reliant on these other external physical things. That in the
Precisely.
event that some kind of terror attack happened on software or the cloud, we would be left without
without anything.
information.
In fact, I worry I'd be left without a picture of my child.
Exactly.
I don't think I have one physical copy of it. We
Your
don't
bank
value,
account,
we
you
don't
wouldn't-
value
yeah.
anything. We've
Oh,
devalued
yes.
everything and externalized it outside ourselves.
Yes.
And I think that the important thing with this book and what he was trying to do is help us understand the value of our memory, its inner workings, and realize its fallibility.
Yes.
Because he says one of the things that scientists used to do in a long time ago is believe that once you see something, it's always inside your mind. And do you believe that? Do you believe that everything you've ever seen from the first image you saw when you were a child is in your brain? And that if we used some way, hypnosis, some sort of science, we'd be able to extract that memory from deep inside your mind. Do you believe that?
I believe that. I do.
Let me tell you, I remember the first image I saw as a child. I remember that like it happened yesterday.
Then I think you need to reread our book for today, which claims, one, that all of us are like Kenyans. We're like warthogs.
Let me tell them what warthogs syndrome is.
And then also internalize exactly what you're saying as a reflection of who you are.
No, this guy is a Muzungu.
Say
I'm an African. You know, we say Kenyans have warthog syndrome. You know, the reason I say that is because when a warthog is being chased by a leopard, cheetah, or lion, sometimes it just stops. And even the lion wonders, hey, why is this thing stopping? So it looks behind to see.
There's something
But
else.
the point is that warthogs have such terrible memory that they forget that they were being chased.
They just forget. The thing forgets it was being chased, and it stops and it starts feeding. And the lion also stops wondering, hey, what's up with this guy?
And I agree. I think Kenyans were a lot like that.
And the reason is so much has happened in this country, and we forget. We follow politicians like sheep. We've got hard instinct. Hard mentality. Politician shows up in the airport, you go follow them. And you'll end up in the same problems. You will fight. You guys will fight each other. Then they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you telling me about?
What I was telling you is that this is winning headlines. Today we had a winning cartoon from Gado of the Standard, and we had a winning headline from Business Daily. That is not evidence of my Kenyanness. What I was telling you is that
Warthog syndrome.
You forget you're chasing. No, I was doing a play on Kenya being a warthog because I am a Kenyan. What I was telling you is this. Yeah. We cannot remember everything we put in our brains. In fact, once we leave here, 50% will go down and out of our memory, and we lose things on a decreasing scale the longer time passes. So now, after I've told you that, what you saw, that first memory you have, is actually probably a mutation and a faded memory.
Speak for yourself.
I'm serious. Science speaks for itself. There's only one recorded evidence of a person having photographic memory. Unfortunately, no one else is able to test her because she married the scientist who tested her.
I remember everything they saw.
I'd like you to question your own memory.
I know, it's clear. 100%.
This is Reading Headlines. This week we'll be going through interesting and diverse topics. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.